The problem to me for individual unemployability, number one, they send a form out every so often that you got to fill out saying you did not go to work. If you don't fill that form out, then you will be reduced back to where you were before you filed for that individual unemployability. This actually hit the news somewhere in Georgia. They reduced some veterans. And so the people are angry, and everybody talking about how mean the VA was when they didn't give the laws of why they were reduced. I knew why they were reduced. One woman said, well, I don't read the paper. What you mean by the paper? Because we don't read our mail. If it don't have dollar signs on it, we don't really look at it worth anything. And what happened was the mail came in from the VA. They saw it. They looked, no money on the paper because they just did a quick scan. That paper was chunked somewhere. We do it all the time. But when you do that, they will reduce you back. Also with IU, you cannot work. 100% disabled veteran, you can work wherever you want to work. I'm 100% permanent total disabled veteran. I've been working for the government for 20 years now. So you can work as long as you, if you don't file for IU. Also, the program also provides monthly payments to surviving spouses. I want y'all to catch these on here now. Dependent children and dependent parents. Independent parents. So if my mom I'm her sole source of income, I can add her to my disability award. And that's amazing. So I think your mom is in the military. But if your mom was moving in with you guys, she can add her to the award. Yes. I mean, that's an awesome statement. I thought your hand went up, brother. I'm sorry. Also, guys, I'm going to tell y'all one thing, too, that I see a lot of my older veterans do. When you see dependent children there, a lot of my older veterans, I've seen them adopt their grandchildren who have a mental disorder. If they have Down syndrome, they have, I don't know all the mental disorder for our kids, but they adopt those kids. And what happens is those benefits stay with them for the rest of their life. They're going to draw a benefit for the rest of their life. And that's how their grandparents leave something for their mentally challenged child. Say, hey, I want to make sure my grandbaby is going to be taken care of. You know, my children can't afford it, so they adopt them. I see that all the time as well. Also, this is highly important. Types of compensation. You got disability compensation. This is the first two are for the veteran. The second two are for spouses, parents, children. So disability compensation is only for the veteran. You're going to file that form on a VA form 21-526EZ. I'll bring that form up in a minute. We'll see that form. Also, the veteran can file for VA pension. If the veteran is at a certain income level and served during a war, they're eligible for VA pension, where the federal government would pay them a stipend every month. I've seen the VA pension for veterans as high as $2,400 a month. I've seen for them paid for a veteran. It's not based on disability. It's based on finance. It's not based on disability at all. It's based on finance. It's based on finance. And so they offer that as well. Then you have DIC. DIC is the greater of the two for surviving spouses. So I always told my wife, I said, hey, if I pass away, try to get that corner to write down that I died from a disability, or I'm 100% permanent in total for more than 100% for more than 8 years and married for more than 8 years. We call it 8 and 8. So if you were married 8 years, 100% for 8 years, she draws DIC. What is DIC? Dependency indemnity compensation. Why is that one greater than the surviving spouse? The surviving spouse is based on income. The DIC is not. Sister Gay, Brother Gay can make $1 million a minute and she still could draw DIC. Surviving spouse, no. They're going to look at her income. So they look at her retirement, they look at Social Security, they'll look at her drawing your military retirement. They'll be like, oh, no, she can't get spousal survivor's pension because she's over income. But DIC, she'll be able to draw that as well. So my wife would draw because I've reached the threshold now. So in 2016, I became 100% for more than 8 years. So then I was locked in. So she's locked in. So we've been married more than 8 years, 100% for 8 years. So she'll draw my retirement. She'll get the life insurance. She'll get the DIC and whatever else annuities and things that we have. She'll get all that stuff, and be taken care of. And so that's why I always push understanding DIC. Survivor spouse is based on income. If the veteran served during a war, you're eligible for VA pension. You're eligible, but how much would I receive? I've seen it as low as $7 a month. Yeah, I had a lady in Memphis that was mad at me about that, and she cursed me out because her mother was getting $7 a month, survivor's pension. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me. The law says this, and it's based on income. So those are the things that's important. The types of compensations are highly important. The next thing, this is highly important. The types of service connection. This is how I'm going to get you guys to 100%. This is how. This slide right here. Well, the first one, and I always put it first, because that's the main way you become 100% disabled, is secondary conditions. Secondary is claims for conditions that were caused or aggravated by a service-connected disability. Like I heard you mention your back. Have you ever filed for your neck? Have you ever filed for migraine headaches? All those things are associated with the back. I got degenerative disc disease, so I know exactly what you're going through. So now you're just getting your back, but you haven't filed for C-spine. You haven't filed for migraine headache. You haven't filed for anxiety or depression that it caused. All those are secondary conditions. Your secondary condition, you can get more for your secondary than you can for your primary. It just depends on the disability. For instance, if you had ringing in the ears, tinnitus, they're only going to pay you 10%. But tinnitus bring on migraine headaches. So if I file migraine headaches, watch how I'm going to say this. Secondary to my service-connected tinnitus, I can get up to 50%. But if I just put on my paper migraine headaches, what they're going to do is go in my records and see can they find migraine headaches. If migraine headaches is not there, they deny it. If I put migraine headaches secondary or use the word due to tinnitus, now they don't look in the record. They get a medical opinion. So they say, they write the doctor saying, hey, doc, can you do a medical opinion to see is this possible that the migraines are due to the ringing in the ears? So the doctor does a medical opinion, and according to the medical association, it's associated. So the doctor sends it back that it is associated with migraine headache. Migraine headaches is associated with tinnitus, and based on how often you have the migraines, they rate you. So really now that's in your hand. So if you may have migraines 2 to 4 times a month, you're sitting right at a 50% rating. Yes. And what I tell all my guys that have a migraine, do a migraine chart. So get your calendar, make you a calendar, and make your migraine calendar and color code it. So what happened this day? What happened this day? How did I feel? How long was I down? So when I get ready to turn that in, turning my claim for migraines, I give them the calendar with it. And they go, wow. That helped a lot of my doctors went, wow. I see here, I said, yes, sir. I make sure I document what I went through, what I had. If I had to sit in the dark, if I was down 1 or 2 days, I wanted him to know that migraine chart. That's the beauty of service-connected disabilities. Secondary connected service-connected disabilities. And every disability comes with a family member. No disability comes by itself. I don't care what disability it is, it brings a family member with it. Even carpal tunnel. How does it bring a family member? Because you have loss of use. You don't have the strength in your hands to turn. So the carpal tunnel causes me where I can't, even some of the fingers don't even work properly because of the carpal tunnel. So everything brings a secondary condition with it. And so then you have increased disability. Some of our veterans never file for increase. I've been 30% for 40 years. The government don't look in your record and go, hey, I think they're really not being treated right. We're going to raise your disability up for them. We don't do that at all. That's not something that we do. So it's increased disability. Claims for existing service-connected conditions that have been medically evidenced, that you have medical evidence to show have gotten worse. Some of your conditions, they only go to a certain level. We need to learn that. So when you receive what we call a rating you for your disability, they tell you what your rating is. Here's the increases that's available. Read that. If you have tinnitus, you're not getting higher than 10%. That's it. That's how it goes. If you have fibromyalgia, you're not getting higher than 40%. That's how it goes. So some people keep over and over again. There's a danger in that. The danger in continually to file over and over again is that it brings attention to your file. When it brings attention to your file, what happens is, remember I said I have to go through every page? So now you've been rated 100%, let's say 70% disabled. No, I'm gonna go with 100 because they do it a lot with 100%. You 100% and you permanent total. You should not be filing any more claims, but here you are. Hey, I want to file for this. I got guys do it all the time. And now I look at your record and go, okay, I got to go all the way back. But he first filed in 1985. I got to go back and look at 85 and see what done properly. They shouldn't have gave him disability right here in 1989. So now I got to take that away. Does that drop him from his 100%? It may. Because we don't add up 100% the way everybody else add up numbers. It may. And so there's a danger in constantly filing when you reach where you're supposed to go. When I became 100%, a permanent total, I haven't filed another claim. I don't want any more attention on my records. God has blessed me. What else am I looking for? I'm done. Then you have service connect that is claimed for conditions existing during active service. And so that's exactly what those are. So these are highly, highly important. The PAC Act, you all, I like the PAC Act and I don't like the PAC Act. I'm not a big fan of the PAC Act. The reason why a lot of the laws that they put it in the PAC Act doesn't benefit the veteran. The things that we're dealing with, they're not dealing with, like sleep apnea. Let me give you a rough number. 40% of our veterans who went to Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Desert Shield, Iraqi Freedom, have sleep apnea. I don't know what it's on, if it was the sand, I don't know what it is, but we have sleep apnea. I have sleep apnea. I didn't have sleep apnea before I went to Iraq. I didn't snore as hard as I did. I don't know what happened. The climate change, we had dust storms, we had oil fires, all that stuff was going on while we were sitting in Iraq. And so just so much stuff that we had to deal with, but that's not a part of the PAC Act. And so what they did with the PAC Act, they added more of cancer disability, cancer, things that cause cancer, bronchitis, and breathing issues than actual physical issues that we deal with, like they added the asthma, praise God. They added the allergic rhinitis and sinuses. They added those. But some of the things that we deal with acid reflux, all those things, some of those things they did not add. We do have IBS. I've been able to connect the acid reflux with the IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. So I've been able to do that. But a lot of the other things that my veterans are dealing with, insomnia, things like that, that wasn't added. And that's important because I'm going to show you why here in just a second. So I'm going to move us through the PAC Act there. I'm going to leave that one up there for a minute. When you look at VA disabilities, one thing that we need to learn is the condition. We need to know how to determine when something is a condition and when something is not. I left this one up there because with Agent Orange, a lot of my Vietnam veterans don't realize Agent Orange is not a disability. You know, I have Agent Orange. There's no way. It's impossible for you to have Agent Orange. Why? Agent Orange is a chemical that they spray. So you have to ask, what are the diseases I receive from the Agent Orange? Same thing with the PAC Act and with the burn pit. What diseases did I incur from the burn pit? And so I got guys walking around saying I have Agent Orange. I'm like, no, what disability do you have due to Agent Orange? And my poor Vietnam veterans, they only filed for Agent Orange, disability associated with Agent Orange. They only jumped up and down by Agent Orange, guys. And Congress gives us the disabilities that's associated with Agent Orange. Okay, here's our disability. Now, if that's not on the list, your disability not on the list, you don't get paid. Here's the thing that nobody ever talks about. In Vietnam, we sprayed Agent Purple, Agent Green, Agent White, Agent Blue. They never mention them. They never mention those chemicals. They only mention Agent Orange. And many of our Vietnam veterans, they basically they just about died, almost all died, going to be died and gone. Then they'll bring out these other chemicals that we sprayed. That you can find them. You can actually Google what chemicals were sprayed in Vietnam by the United States government. And I was JSSR team, which all I did was research Vietnam disabilities for the federal government. And so I learned, and when I learned it, I'm like, whoa, why don't anybody ever ask about these chemicals? And I work for the government, so I can't just bring it up. I just can't just mention it. So when I'm out with doing stuff like this, I'm like, guys, y'all don't ever mention these things. Y'all were there. You were there. So, and that's why it's highly important. You all, this is our friend, presumptive condition. Now, Brother Gay, I know you went over to Desert Storm. Did you ever go to Desert Storm? Didn't go over. So you didn't go into the area at all. Okay, so this is highly important presumptive conditions. Presumptive conditions are for war veterans. So if you have gone to war, and Brother Gay, you were in the Desert Storm region, this says claims for conditions that are presumed to have been caused by an event during your military service, even if there's no specific evidence or connection between your condition and your military service in your records. So they're saying, hey, it doesn't have to be in your records. But because you was in this area, he said this includes conditions related to Agent Orange, chronic disabilities, and the following conditions tied to the service during Gulf War. In Gulf War, we link Afghanistan under that same umbrella with that. So now, because you have this disability and because you was in this region, we concede the argument that is service connected. They said, we conceded. Okay, it's based on your military service. Now they say, okay, how bad is it? That's going to be all dependent on you, is how bad it is. That's why, Brother Gay, when I look at your record, I say, hey, I know what some of the things you already had. Without even looking in the records, I knew some things you was already dealing with. I don't think I met 5 veterans that's been to Desert Storm that don't have widespread muscle pain. I don't think I've met any that don't have widespread muscle pain. That's fibromyalgia. Makes you lethargic. Some of them, it causes migraines. It causes dizziness. All of the things that's associated with it. That's a presumptive condition. And so once I look at the person and I see the veteran, I say, okay, have you been to war? Have you been in these regions? Then I start going through and picking out all the disabilities I know that's associated with this and say, hey, are you dealing with any of these things here? And one thing I tell people, they'll say they're not dealing with it, and I say, I want you to keep this on your radar. We have a gospel that he filed disability for his right foot. I said, why you didn't file disability for your left foot? He said, what do you mean? I said, brother, you're compensating because you're having pain in that left foot. He said, man, I don't think I do that. He texted me at 5 o'clock in the morning. Man, my left foot is killing me. I said, dude, what do you do? I said, no. I said, you don't think about it because you said, hey, I didn't hurt this in here. So you overlook the other pains because of the pains that you say happen, but you overlook these other pains. And no, I can't overlook these other pains because I should be compensated for the pains, if that makes sense to everybody. But he texted me at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not kidding you guys. He said, my left foot is killing me, kid. He said, the pain I'm having with this foot. I said, no. But before I told him he was having pain, he just said, oh, man, that's just part of the foot getting bad. It's not, I didn't hurt in the military. So no. And so we wrote disability, and he got his 100% this month. He got his 100%. Eric did. I think it was this month. This month or last month. We finally got him over the threshold of 100% permanent total. Excited about that because he's a great gospel preacher. Some of the presumptive conditions are fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. A lot of my veterans have chronic fatigue. A lot of them, one of my issues, I get in the car and it's like I'm in chlorophyll. I'll immediately start getting sleepy. I mean, if I drive from here to there, I mean, I got to stop because I'm getting sleepy. I'm getting tired. I'm getting drained. Chronic fatigue. Functional gastrointestinal disorder. We just call it IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. So many of our veterans have that. They have sinuses. Sinus rhinitis is just as a few presumptive conditions that we have. Camp Lejeune, I'm going to skip. So since none of my folks are Camp Lejeune or Marines, I mean, that water system really messed them up there. Okay. Sister, this is going to be you today. This is going to be you today. I'm just saying that word today for you. This is what we call an intent to file. The form is a 09, I always give the last part, I'm sorry, 21-0966. Why is this form important? You're not ready to get all your claim together right now. You're not ready. Hey, I'm just coming to a workshop. I want to get see what he got to say, and I want to file my claim. You put intent to file in between services here. You either call the VA, say, hey, 1-800-827-1000. Say, hey, I want to put in an intent to file. What that does is hold your space. For 1 year, it holds the space. So if she don't turn her paperwork in until this is what, October, until September of next year, she's good. But when they grant her the disability, they're going to pay her all the way back to this day. So every day you don't do this, you're literally throwing money out the window. You're literally throwing money out the window. You're literally throwing money out the window. Every day you don't do it. So it's called an intent to file. If you call in and they don't know what you're talking about, hang up, say, hey, thank you for your time, hang up, call someone else. Here's why. The VA calls go to a call center. They're not going to the VA hospital or benefit office. So you're not talking to someone that works for the VA. So they probably do not know. So let me just call somebody else. But if you use a computer a lot, you can actually do this on the computer, which I prefer you do. You go on va.gov, create you an account, you start filling out a claim like you fill out a claim for disability, and just stop it. Just stop it. And when you stop it right there in the middle of the process, you just start and stop it, get off. You'll get a letter in about 4 or 5 days say, hey, I see you was planning on filing a claim, intent to file. You got 1 year to finish this claim. It's called an intent to file. It's called an intent to file. So I try to get my veterans, please don't wait. If you're not ready, you can at least put an intent to file on. Y'all, the largest check I've seen is $1 million. So the guy put his claim in, and then they had to go back and back pay him his money. The largest is $1 million. And we've helped brothers right here in the church. Most of our brothers have gained several brothers have gotten $229,000 checks, $50,000 check, $40,000 check. Because we do intent to file. So yes. This form is only for the veteran. Remember I told you the types of compensation? But this here is a 21-526EZ. You can only file an increase or a service-connected disability. You cannot use this form if you've been denied. That's why, Brother Gay, they told you, hey, use this form here. Even though I still don't like that form they told you to use. So anytime you've ever been denied, you cannot use this form. It's only for an increase or first-time filings for service connection. You're going to use this form here, 21-526EZ. But I prefer all of you all filing your stuff online. No, ma'am. You're going to use, hold on, we do with that. This is a denial for increase as well. So it's a denial up front and a denial for an increase. I cannot use this form here. Yeah, I cannot use it. If you use the form, they're going to just send it back. Sometimes you get the one, they'll deny you, but hopefully you get somebody to have some common sense and say, hey, you didn't use the right form. Here's the form you need to use to file. That's what they should do. That's what they should do. The 21P-527EZ, this form is for the veteran as well, for him or her to file VA pension claim. So this is the form she would use for pension. Also, if you've been denied for pension, you cannot use this form as well. Who's eligible for, I'm going to cover that in just a second. You want to catch the need? It'll pick it up. Thank you. I'm going to cover that for you. Who's eligible for pension in just a second. We'll cover that as well. All right. All right. Eligibility for pension. At least one of these must be true about your service. Started on active duty before September 8, 1980, and you served at least 90 days on active duty with at least 1 day during wartime service. Started active duty as an enlisted person after September 7, 1980, and served at least 24 months or the full period of which you were called or ordered to active duty, with some exceptions, with at least 1 day during wartime service. Isn't that something? 1 day. Or were an officer and started on active duty after October the 16th, 1981, and you haven't previously served on active duty for at least 24 months. Were an officer and started on active duty after October the 16th, 1981, and you hadn't previously served on active duty for at least 24 months. At least one of these must be true. You must be at least 65 years old or have a permanent or total disability, or are a patient in a nursing home for long-term care because of a disability, or are getting Social Security disability insurance or supplemental security insurance. And see, for you, we're not going to get you pension. We want compensation. It's the greater of the two. Yes. Yeah, compensation, since she's already receiving disability, compensation is the greater of the two for her. Yes, if she wasn't getting anything, and just say you didn't have any disabilities at all, pension would be great. But what I'm saying, but the disability doesn't have to be related to the military. Because if it was related to the military, we wouldn't even need that. So they're saying if you have a permanent disability that you incurred while working a civilian job or in life or whatever happened, you can file for this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's good. Ben, y'all asked the question. No, that's good. Okay. How do I know if I served under a eligible wartime period? Here's your wartime services. You got World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam era, and you all, everything, if it's not called a war or a conflict that the government recognized, then you do not qualify for pension. Like when my guys jumped into Panama and went in and fought in Panama, that's not considered a war. Bosnia is not considered a war. I don't know if y'all remember when they paraded one of our dead soldiers through their town, man. That was horrible. Matter of fact, my unit had just touched, I had just got out because I got hurt. I had just got out, and my captain was right there on CNN News. Man, I was like, I would have been standing right there with him. I said, man, I would have been standing right there with him if I would have stayed in, because that was my unit. They went over to Bosnia. We had just gotten back from Iraq. It hadn't been a year. So think about the mindset. You're going from this place to this place. But you have to have a strong mindset. And so these are the wartime services. Also, veterans who served in the Republic of Vietnam during that period, August the 5th, 1964 to May the 7th, 1975. The veterans who also served in the Republic of Vietnam. Now look at this one here, Gulf War. What's our service period for Gulf War? Y'all see that? Still active. Here's what's important about that. Remember, if you serve during a wartime, so the war is technically still going on. So every veteran who's been in from 1990 to now qualifies. Soon as the federal government wake up and realize that, the rules are going to change. No, seriously, because if you go back here, you see Vietnam there? The Vietnam War began in around 1959. 61 was when some of it was really taking off. Do you know they don't count that veteran for pension if he didn't step foot in Vietnam in 61. So in 61, they said you had to put your foot in Vietnam. All the other months, all the years, they said you didn't. So think about the poor veteran who couldn't because he didn't step foot. We had one brother in Christ. He died, and he was suffering bad, struggling so bad, and I was trying to get him his pension. That's when I first learned out. I said, man, why are we not getting pension during the war? They said, no, The stipulation, there's a little stipulation here just for this 1 year. And he fell in. Yes. Yeah. We were never there. We were never there. No, we were never there. Yeah. Yes. Those are hurtful things, man. Those are hurtful. I had a veteran like that I dealt with it. I had to stop working his claim because we got a letter. And you keep going, some people are going to show up. Literally. This is the form I was telling Brother Gay. If you've been denied, this is the first form you use. You don't go to the form after this slide here. You go to this one first. Why? See, right here with the 20-0995, if you disagree with a VA decision and want to provide new evidence to support your claim, notice what he said, if you want to provide new evidence. Okay, this is the form that you would file. On that form, I believe they got a section on there where it says you can talk directly to a decision review officer. You want that. You want to be able to talk to them because they only see the paperwork. They don't see you. They don't see you. Okay? About the VA form 20-09, wait a minute. I thought I had another slide for that slide. I guess I do not. On the 20-0995, on that form, you're going to put the date that you were denied and the condition that you were denied, and you make sure you check for compensation on the form. I thought I had that slide up there, and I do not. The condition, and you want to check compensation because they have actually what are you asking for, and you want to put compensation is what you're actually asking for. Okay, y'all take your time on what you got. Now the one that they gave Brother Gay that I said hold on for is this form, but notice what it says. Use this form to request a higher level review of the decision you received from the Department of Veteran Affairs based on the evidence of record at the time the VA issued their issue of their prior decision. So they're telling you you can't add any evidence. Whatever the evidence was that they reviewed, that's what we're going to look at. The doctor comes in and says, oh no, we found this, can't add it. That's why I like starting at the 20-0995. Now, if the 5 doesn't work, then we go to the 6. But I always want to start at the 5. Does that make sense? Sometimes even as the 5, I draw it back and we try to strengthen it and send it back on the 5. It's no law that said I can't put it back on the 20-0995 again, because once I do the 6, they're going with what they denied already. So I got to be so confident that that's right if I'm going to send it there. Because now I'm going to waste all this time having them watch it, only or look at it only to deny it. Now I don't want that to happen. So they said, well, this, I get your claim back, and they said, well, this on the claim. I said, okay, let's do this. So I pull it back, we get those things, and I put it back on the 20-0995. Okay, that makes sense? All right. Veteran service officer guys, you all have them, they're all over the country, but I want you all to know about a veteran service officer, they do not work for the federal government. They work for the state. Why is that important? Once you take your claim to a veteran service, just say you need help, or somebody says you need help with your claim, and they're there to help you for free, and they're supposed to be your mediator between you and the federal government. Okay? So now, if they're not going to do their job and you say, hey, I want to turn my claim in, they work the claim. He takes her claim. He goes on vacation. He's gone 6 days. The 6 days he's gone, the VA doesn't have that claim. He has the claim. Even though he had it, we don't recognize that she's losing money. He comes back, he has COVID. He's gone another 7 days. So that's 14 days we don't have your claim. She doesn't get paid for it. Now, with an intent to file, that nixes all this. But the person that don't have the intent to file, that don't know any better, they're using a VSO, this is what's going on. So a veteran service officer, he or she works for the state. And their responsibility is to you, to work for you. But I put that up there because a lot of folks say, hey, I went to the VA. And I go, no, you didn't go to the VA. You went to the veteran service officer. Yes. Sometimes we have great ones. Sometimes it just depends. So, these are our best friends. This is the greatest thing, guys. This is the greatest thing created for veterans. And this was created in 2014. I forget the VA secretary that helped put this together. I can't think of this guy's name because he was he was an Oriental doctor, and him and Dr. General Hickey was the ones that was behind this, putting this together in 2014 under the Obama administration. It has since been tweaked a little bit, but still highly, highly effective. Let me tell you what a DBQ is. DBQ is with disability benefit questionnaire. The government has given the veteran power. If he or she doesn't have to go to a VA doctor to be for the C&P exam. C&P is compensation and pension. That's what's that called, C&P exam. That veteran can go to their own private healthcare provider instead of a VA facility to complete their disability evaluation form. So you go on va.gov, you go to disability benefit questionnaire, you go to your disease and you pull a condition that it is, I'm sorry, not disease, but condition, and you pull that condition down and you take that and get your doctor to fill it out. If your doctor's not willing to do that, I'm not willing to stay with that doctor. That is my pet peeve. If you're not going to fill out a DBQ for me and I'm your patient, then I'm not going to do it. Then the cost. I got to see what the cost is going to be. Because some of our doctors lose our mind. I had one doctor talking about $600 an hour. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Because the DBQ is normally about 3, maybe 4 pages. And it's not a lot of stuff. I mean, for a doctor, they're going to whiz through that with no problem. But that's what a DBQ is. And we have over more than 70 DBQs. We have more than 70 DBQs that are appropriate for the condition and submitted to us. It's that easy. So whatever your condition is, I would get my specialist to fill that out. Once that specialist fills that out, that is her C&P exam. So once you turn in a claim, what I like to do when I turn my claim in, I give them my DBQ with the claim. So they got everything they need from me. They got everything they need from me. And so the only reason I should be going to a C&P exam if something is wrong with that DBQ. And my question to them is, what is wrong with the DBQ? What did my doctor do wrong that you need me to come in and see your doctor? Because once I come in and see your doctor, I need them both to match. I need them both to match. There are nurse practitioners that do it as well. Yes. Yes. And here's the thing what I want you to be cognizant of about your DBQs, because the VA said, well, oh, we don't want to use your doctor. He's a this or he's a that. And I had one of my veterans contact our congressman. I said, now, the person that filled out his claim for the federal government, for the VA, was a nurse practitioner. I said, you're going to take the nurse practitioner over the MD. He went to an MD. Y'all sent him to a nurse practitioner. See how I used that? Reversed it back on them. And so, but to answer your question, no, it can be a nurse practitioner. But I'd hate my sister, but I try to get people as close as possible in their specialized field. I like to get specialists, so that kills the questions concerning the DBQ if I can get me a specialist to look at this. Because a lot of time, brother, they'll send your wife in, just say she's going in for fibromyalgia, and the person that's reviewing her is not a fibromyalgia doctor or nurse practitioner. It happens all the time. So how are you going to say she can't use her own when that's what he does? If I go to a pain clinic, a pain specialist, and that's what he does. So we want to make sure of that. So, but hopefully that answers your question. It doesn't have to be a MD. It doesn't have to be a psychiatrist. It could be a psychologist for PTSD, depression, anxiety, bipolarism, adjustment disorder. And you all, when you look at mental disorders, they rate them all the same. If I don't care if it's schizophrenic or depression. What I mean by rated, they look at how much money they're going to pay you and what the criteria is to pay you. It's the same. It's the same. Because I've had people to get angry and not file disability because it wasn't the word they wanted. Yes, ma'am. I had a young lady, remember, who was in Town. She walks out. She wanted PTSD. The doctor said she had adjustment disorder. I said, same thing. I don't care. I'm not going to file. I'm like, the doctor said it's adjustment disorder in the records for her. They denied it. But in denying it, he said, well, the rater denied it, but the rater said the doctor said, you do not have PTSD, you have adjustment disorder. And it is due to your military service. Do you want to file a claim? That's what it said in her record. I'm going, sweetheart, they're giving it to you. She didn't file. So that's DBQ for. The second thing, the other thing is something on this slide I want y'all to make sure that's important. Just gay, even for you, even though you're not a veteran, brother, even for you, even though you're not a veteran, get a diagnosis. I don't like doctors giving me medicine when they don't tell me what the diagnosis is. And many of our veterans file disability, they don't have a diagnosis. We can't give you money if you don't have a diagnosis. We cannot rate you if you don't have a diagnosis. There's nothing we can do. Get a diagnosis. I have doctors that say, well, I'm taking this medicine. I say, yeah, you're taking the medicine, but you don't have a diagnosis. Why? Say that again, please, sir. I used to tell my mom all the time, Mom, why are you taking this medicine? The doctor said well, when he figured out we'll take the medicine. We're not taking it. Think about that for a second. He doesn't know. She doesn't know. I need a diagnosis. Without a diagnosis, we cannot rate your claim. We're not saying you're lying. We're saying you don't have a diagnosis. I've read so many records that come back and they say denied. You do not have a diagnosis. And that's key. Over half of my veterans filed disability do not have a diagnosis. Simply going to the doctor. And I don't go to the doctor and ask. I go to the doctor and tell, here's what's going on with me. Because doctors, what do they do? They practice. What is it called? It's called, what is it called? How did medicine is called practice? Because that's what they're doing. So I'm telling him, and he's going off of what I'm saying, and he's just looking, okay, well, what's going on with you? And while I'm on this road, pain is not a condition. Pain. I got back pain. We're going to automatically deny. Pain is a symptom of deny you because we cannot give you a rating for pain. We always ask, what is the condition? So I always tell people put back condition. If you don't know what it's called, put back condition, knee condition, neck condition. Now the government would get MRI, CT scan, a regular X-ray, but if you put back pain, you're getting denied automatically. So, but a diagnosis is highly, highly important. Stop taking medication when you haven't been diagnosed. And they do it all the time. We cannot give you a rating off of that. You all, none of us fit the criteria of BBD, but if you all got children, grandchildren, anybody, young people in the military, this is a gold mine, BBD claim. A BBD claim, this claim is so powerful because the veteran can file for disability 180 days from his ETS date. So if you would have filed a claim 180 days before the day you got out, you know one thing the VA would never say? That's not military related. because you filed a claim in the military. That's I don't know who came up with that for this new generation, but it's awesome. And do you know I can't get the new generation to file a disability claim? We actually take the VA to Camp Shelby as the soldiers are coming in and getting out, said, hey, do you want to file a claim? No, I just want to get out. That's the greatest thing, one of the greatest inventions. I don't know who's behind that one. I can't remember, guys, but it's called the Benefit Delivery at Discharge, Pre-Discharge Claim. Man, I helped a brother in Kennison Woods Church of Christ. He's a first sergeant. I said, Top, before you get out, that's 180 days out. I said, hey, I want you to file that claim. He got out 100%. When he stepped foot out, he was 100%. Yes. Yes. See, because we understand it, the power behind that. You know, if I'd have did that. So anyone you all know, you tell them 180 days out of their ETS date, they're getting ready to get out of the military, file a claim. Start going to your doctors, making sure you build your stuff up to show what you went through, my knee, sleep apnea, things I was dealing with in service. So now they're documenting it. So by the time you get out, you step out. Step a veteran. Yeah. Yep. Make sure you all go back. Please use your commissary privileges. Because you're a disabled veteran now, it used to be you had to be 100%. Now 0 to 90, you can go. And see, the commissary privileges, you don't pay taxes. But let me show you another special thing about the commissary privilege. And your husband just signed up for our oh man, I gotta share that with you too. It's called Armed Forces Vacation. You with Armed Forces Vacation? Oh, it's great. It's great. We get some of the best deals. But if you go to one I know off the top of my head, you go to Cocoa Beach. You go to the Air Force Base on Cocoa Beach in down in Florida, and just say you want to stay on post, so you can stay in government housing while you're there in post. And so all that's due through the privilege we have because of commissary privileges. So I want to share that with you guys. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I mean, all the beauty of the benefits that we get, you know. So I wanted you all to know about that. Also, caregivers. While I'm at caregivers, let me say this here now. I need y'all to be careful when you're going into your VA doctors if you're using VA doctors. I'm gonna get the caregiver in just a second. A doctor can rate you incompetent. If he rates her incompetent, we have to put someone over her VA. The VA always will, Mississippi. We always start with the spouse or whoever the veteran tells us. We never put somebody over we want. We always start with the spouse. And so, but my thing is, I don't need you in the program if you're not incompetent. Incompetent is physical and mental. Physical or mental, I'm sorry. If you're physically incompetent, you rolling in a wheelchair, the doctor looking at you, or you're on a walker, the doctor going, this person's not going to be able to take care of themselves. They're going to rate you incompetent. They're not going to tell you while you're there. They're going to put it in the system. A flag is going to come up depending on you all in the Phoenix area. I'm not sure who is over you guys. For Phoenix, I have to look and see. Because we operate by region. Because I work for the southeast east region. So all of these different states, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, West Virginia, D.C., parts of Maryland, all that comes under my jurisdiction. And so now that you're incompetent, you can't go into your account. The money doesn't come to you. And so that happens all the time. And so I always want my veterans to understand, please understand that you could be deemed incompetent. If you file for care provider fee, they're going to make you incompetent. They may even deny you the care provider, still make you incompetent. If you file for aid and attendance, they're going to make you incompetent. They may deny for the aid and attendance and still make you incompetent. Amen. Did not give her aid and attendance, but made her incompetent. Yes. Because I had a guy, one of those Yahoo guys on YouTube, doing the VA, his VA stuff, and he was telling guys, hey, you file for aid and attendance. I said, no, you don't want to do that. If you don't need it because you're going to be deemed incompetent. Somebody said, not so. I said, son, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm telling you. you file that aid and attendance, you're going to be deemed incompetent. Because you're telling the government I can't take care of myself. That's what it is. I can't take care of me. Care provider, I can't take care of me. Why did it fit the criteria? Why did they still deny me? Because you asked. They think something's wrong somewhere. And so, but care provider fee will pay that family member for taking care of your wife. The federal government would pay you for taking care of her. If she gets to the point where she can't take care of herself because of her disability, they pay you up to $2,200, $2,300, and it doesn't come out of her check. Separate payment, which is beautiful. Care provider fee. Sister Gay, same thing. We can only add someone to your dependent once you're 30%. A lot of guys jump up and down and say, hey, they haven't added my wife or my kids to my dependents to my award. If you're not 30% or more, by law, we cannot add a dependent until that person is 30% or more. Then we add them. Then we can add you to the award letter of the benefits. Okay, and there's that clothing allowance I'll tell you about. Sister Gay, make sure you be on Brother Gay about his clothing allowance. What's a clothing allowance? Now, veterans who have unique clothing needs as a result of a service-related disability or injury may receive a supplement to their disability compensation. Clothing allowance reimbursement, if your clothes get, let me go to the next slide. If your clothes are permanent damage or by prosthetic or orthopedic appliance you wear or prescribed medication used for your skin, and all type of braces, back brace that you may use, you qualify for a clothing allowance. The clothing allowance is $1,024.24. I have the old amount up there. Was that right, babe? Because she gets the money, guys. I don't even pay attention. She had to tell me it was there. I didn't even know it was there. Your clothing allowance, like I said, it increased. It used to be $968.52. Now it's $1,024.24. Also, they have an automobile allowance. If the veteran disability prevents him from driving, or they need a special needs vehicle for transport, like a van or something like that, we give a one-time stipend. That has changed too. You guys, it's up to $26,000. One time they give. That they give. Then the Medal of Honor, they give a special compensation for that as well. There it is. I do not have that up there. Adapted housing allowance. So now, sis, you talk about your back, right? Sister Gay, the brother gave back and issues and problems he have. The federal government will come in because of your disability and remodel that whole bathroom. Put a walk-in tub, build just a shower or whatever you need for that home. If you need a ramp for your home, if you need rails, you got a house that's downstairs and you want an elevator in the home, it'll put an elevator in the house. If you got stairs, it'll put the stair lift to take you up the stairs. All that the adapted housing allowance does. And so it's good to do. I always get the stuff done now as you need it. Because when I think about my wife as well, I may not be in worse shape, but I want to make sure I have all the stuff there in case for her as well. Like what we was talking about building a home, we was talking about building us a home, and we said if we build our home, it has to be, we call it 80 proof. We call it 80 proof. Somebody said, what is proof? I want my ceilings where I can reach up and change the light bulb. I don't want to stand on nothing. I don't want to have to step into a shower. I want to be able to walk in the shower. I don't even want to lift that high. I don't want nothing. I want just a smooth from this to this, nothing. That's how I want it. And so we talk about adapted housing allowance. Those are some of the things that you can provide for once if your disability starts setting you to, in a way that, hey, I can't get in this tub. I can't get out of this tub. Or I can't get my wheelchair through the hall because the frame of the French, because they have these French hallways where the wheelchair won't roll through. And so they come in, they redo that, all those things through the adapted housing allowance. Yes. you all here in Phoenix, I would contact the VA regional office here and see where do you do your clothing allowance. If you do your stuff online, you should be able to do it right there online through VA.gov. Yeah, you fill out your clothing allowance, but don't fill it out unless you have a device that was issued by the VA. Mm. But I still go get my brace though. That's for sure. And you can get up to 2 clothing allowance now per year. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Before Barack Obama left office, he created a policy. President don't write laws for us, but they can write a policy. And he wrote a policy where you can get 2 clothing allowance. The veteran can get 2 versus 1. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we want to put those other conditions that you have a file for on there for you. That's another thing we want to do as well. All right. Y'all are just going through. That's the form that they use. Mm-hmm. Like I said, if you can do it online, please do it online. Online is so much faster, so much faster. Because right now, guys, when y'all turn in claims hard file, even though you take it to the VA and where y'all be in, so once you take it to the VA in Phoenix turn around and send it to Lackland, Florida, and Lackland, Florida puts it in this database, and then now you go into a national work queue. And so her claim may be worked in Hawaii, a claim may be worked in Mississippi, claim may be worked in New York, just wherever. Because thank you, babe. You need to file for your clothing allowance before June of next year. However, you want to try to get it in by June as much as possible. I think they created an open time where they started opening up. You can't file for it from this time to this time, but I'm not sure about the exact time. But I believe it's somewhere around January to June. You want to get that clothing allowance in. Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. Because I forget about that. Y'all just want to make sure we covered the DIC. You all DIC and two of my veterans beneficiaries know you want to file for dependency indemnity compensation if that veteran died from a disability, 100% for 8 years, married for 8 years, died on active duty service. This is what you want to file for. This is not income based. The spousal survivor's pension is income based. You all have spouses, brother. When you get back to your home congregation, please do me a favor. Just do this for me. Say, hey, did anybody here was married to someone who served during a war? They automatically qualifies for VA pension. Automatically. Here's what I tell everybody. Your giving go up, your asking go down. That's amazing. When we was in Houston, I think we helped 22 families. So that church had 22 family members to get compensation or a pension that wasn't getting anything. What happened to their giving? Right then. They were like, wow. So, and we actually solicited that. We put it in the newspaper. Brother Tommy Brooks did. Guys, the Baptist church brought a bus over. And remember that first slide y'all saw, the gospel. That's what they got with the gospel. But here we are helping folks get their DIC. Okay? Wait a minute. Okay? I was trying to get. And like I was saying before, my brother, how you doing? Like I was saying, the surviving spouse benefit is income based. This is our worst of the two. And like I'm saying, guys, I've seen a person receive as low as $7. And it's all based on what you're telling the government that your medical benefits are. When you file for survivors pension, The only thing they're going to count toward helping you get that pension for is monetary, is your is medical, prescription, any care provider fees. That's what they count. They don't count house note. They don't count car note. They don't count groceries. They don't count light bill. They don't count any utilities at all. Prescriptions, um, care provider fees, hospital bills. That's what they count toward you receiving that surviving spouse. So you qualify, but now how can I get the money? That's the part. That's why I want most of us to try to get the DIC, because DIC doesn't deal with money. It's based on he or she 100%, 8 years, y'all was married for 8 years, died from a disorder, they died from a disability, or died on active duty service. That's why they get the DIC. And I'd rather you would get the greater of the two. And so when we talked about the surviving children, one thing that statement I was making, I had a veteran who mom outlived him, and he was her sole source of income, and she was on his record. So she actually filed, I thought I had surviving parent up there. She actually filed for DIC, and we granted her the DIC. I guess I don't have the parent up here. And we granted her the DIC. So here mom was in a nursing home receiving DIC to help pay for her nursing home benefit because her son was the only source of income. He died before she did, and they granted her the disability. So all these benefits that people don't know. Same thing for the surviving child that has mental issues or sickness that they receive. This child is going to receive benefits for the rest of their lives. And so the good thing about this, as a field examiner, a field investigator, what I do, I go to the homes and stuff and check on those kids, even though they're grown. We got one that works a job, comes in, he lives with a person on a facility, but he stays in a house. Yeah, it's a facility, but it doesn't look like a facility. It looks like you're in a neighborhood, but it's actually part of the facility. And so we actually come and check on them and make sure they're not being taken advantage of, not being abused. That's one thing I love about the fiduciary program, that we actually come out. So if something was to happen to your husband, that he wasn't there to take care of you, we would actually come out and check for you. If your husband, you precede him in death and he's drawing pension, we're going to come out and check on him. If his health gets down so bad, we're going to make sure he's not under the tree. You know, I had a wife who had to take her away from off the husband's money, because she was taking the money and doing what she wanted to do with it, and the husband was left over here. And we actually did those things. We took her off. She was highly upset, called her federal congressman. He calls me. I said, sir, y'all write the laws. I literally I said, God, sir, you write the law. I mean, you talking to me, you are part of the law writer. You know I can't just release this money, to her because the law said it. But it protects that veteran. It protects that veteran. We come out and we check on our veterans. And so it really excites me, guys. Y'all, that's the last one. I'm going, wait a minute. Please only apply for aid in attendance at your time. Please only apply for aid in attendance if you actually need it. If you don't need aid in attendance, don't apply, because why? They would deem you incompetent. Guys, I'm going to be here tomorrow going over this. Please bring your records. I'll look over those records for you, and whatever I need to do, we'll try to make it happen. So, yeah. But I can write all your stuff up tomorrow. There's no problem. And brother, like I said, you got anybody at the congregation, man, run it by them. Say, hey, y'all need this. Come on, I can write it up while I'm here. I'll write it up while I'm here. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm on it. So I said I want to do it. Thank you.